Hi everyone, in Algebra 3, today we're going to be going over the new material in lesson 73, which is finding the area perimeter of a regular polygon. So some notes that you could take would be that a regular polygon of any number of sides can be inscribed in a circle. So it can be drawn inside of a circle. Each side of the regular polygon forms a base of an isosceles triangle whose sides are radii of the circle. So each of the sides are going to be radii of the circle. And then the area of the regular polygon is the sum of the areas of the triangles. So that's how you can find the area of the polygon. Is just by finding the area of the isosceles triangle and then multiplying it by how many triangles there are. So we're going to be using different things to find the area. We're going to need to use cosine, sine, and even sometimes tangent, depending on what they give you. So we're going to go through an example to just kind of give you guys a head start. And then we're going to go through some problems from the lesson, but I would like you to attempt those on your own before you actually do them with me. So for the first example, it says, find the area and the perimeter of a regular polygon, 5 sides, that is inscribed in a circle whose radius is 6 units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw a regular polygon. And you don't have to do this every time because you'll notice that you can do this another way too. So this is my regular polygon. This is the circle that I'm going to draw around it. Yikes. It's not very good. But from the center of the circle, I can create five identical triangles, isosceles triangles, and the radius is 6. Sorry. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to draw one of those triangles. So I'm going to draw the triangle here. I know that the radius is 6, so the slant is 6. And what we need to do is we need to find the area, which means that I need to know what the height is. I'm also going to need to know what the base is because they want to know the perimeter of it too as well. So, to get started, what we need to do is we need to solve for the angle of this triangle. So if I split these all into right triangles, we would end up with 10 right triangles. So if I'm trying to find this angle right here, one of these angles right here, I would take 360 degrees, divide it by 10, and that would give me an angle of 36 degrees. So that means this angle here is 36 degrees. Knowing that, now I can solve for the height and the base of this triangle using sine or cosine. So I'm going to start by using cosine because the height is adjacent and I have that hypotenuse. So I'm going to do cosine of 36 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So we're going to do 6 times 36 cosine equals, and that would give me 4.85 is going to be the height of the triangle. Now what I'm going to do is I also need to find the base of the triangle. So I'm going to use sine to find the base. So sine of 36 is equal to opposite, which is base, over hypotenuse, which is 6. So that means my base is going to be 6 times 36 sine equals, and I get 3.53. So I have everything I need because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area of the area. Now notice that I'm only using the right triangle. So it's not 5 right triangles, it's actually 10 right triangles. So I'm going to do 10 times the area of one of those triangles. The base I know is 3.53. The height is 4.85. And then you're going to divide that all by 2. So what I can do is in my calculator, I'm just going to do 10 times 3.53 times 4.85 and then divide that all by 2. And that gives me 85.6. So the area is going to be 85.6 units squared. It also asks you to find the perimeter. So to find the perimeter, well, how many of these bases make up the perimeter of the pentagon? There would be 10 of them. So it'd be 3.53 times 10. So my perimeter is going to be equal to 35.3 units. So the biggest step that you need for this problem is I usually draw it out. Sometimes it's going to be a little hard to draw out because depending on how many sides there are. But remember, we're always dealing with right triangles so that we can use our sine, cosine, and tangent. And then also is to find this angle. So you always take 360 divided by how many right triangles, which is always going to be double the number of sides. Okay? So now what I want you to do is I want you to pause this video and I want you to attempt numbers 1 through 15. So 1 through 15. I know that might take you a little while, but I want you to attempt the problems before you actually do them with me. So you're not just copying them down. Okay, so attempt them and then replay this video. So number 1 says 3 women were redheads, 2 were blondes, and 2 were brunettes. How many distinguishable ways could the women in 7 chairs if only their hair color was considered? So with distinguishable permutations, we would go the total number factorial divided by the number that are like. So if I have 3, then 2, then 2, that means I have 7 total women. So 7 factorial divided by 3 factorial, 2 factorial, and 2 factorial. So the 3 redheads, 2 blondes, and 2 brunettes. So 7 factorial, and I'm not going to do this in my calculator, or I'm going to do it in my calculator. So it'll be 3 times 2 times 1 times 2 times 1 times 2 times 1. So really 3 times 2 is 6, times 2 is 12, times 2 is 24. So I'm going to do 7 factorial. So that was 7 and then second 3 divided by 24 gives us 210. So distinguishable permutations is what I just used. Now we're going to look at number 2. Number 2 says M men pledged to contribute equally to the purchase of playground equipment, which cost $1,000. If 5 men refused to honor their commitment, how much more did each man have to pay? Okay, so what we're going to do for number 2 is I'm going to divide up the 1,000 by M men. So it's $1,000 divided by M. This is going to be how much each man was supposed to pay. But then 5 of them are going to refuse to pay. So if I multiply this by 5, this is going to be how much more, this is going to be how much is left to pay. Left to pay. Which means that I'm going to end up with 5,000 over M that's left to pay. Now this money, this is the amount that's left to pay. I have to divide up the men that are left. So I'm going to do the left to pay, 5,000 over M. divided by the men that are left. So it would be the number of men minus 5. And all you have to do is multiply by the reciprocal. So your answer is going to be they have to pay 5,000 over m times m minus 5. Okay, so that's one of those concept review problems. So if you didn't get that one, I know it was a little bit tricky. Number 3, ours had H hours of homework to do, but he just worked for work W hours. What fractional part of his homework remains? So he had H hours to do, so the total, but then he worked W hours. So the fractional part remains would be, he started with H, subtracted W over the total, which was H. And this is how much remains. So it's what's left divided by the total. What's left divided by the total is our result for number 3. And that's it. So another concept review problem. Number 4, we have the woman is 3 times as old as her son. If she is half as old as her father is how many times older than her son? Wow, we have a lot of concept review problems in this one. So for number 4, we have the woman is 3 times as old as her son. The woman is half of her father's age. So her father is how many times older than her son? So now you just have to substitute those W's in. So we're going to do 1/2 F equals 3S to get rid of the fraction, multiplied by 2. That means the father is 6 times as old as the son. And the question was how many times older than the son is he? And you would just say 6. So again, like I said, concept review, not going to be tested over. Number 5, 3 times the lesser of 2 numbers equals 2 times the greater. If the sum of the numbers is 70, what are the 2 numbers? Okay, so let's just start here, number 5. So 3 times the lesser equals 2 times the greater. And the sum of the numbers is 70. So lesser plus greater is 70. So what I would do is probably just do substitution. So we can do L equals 70 minus G and plug that in. So it'd be 3 times 70 minus G equals 2G. So 210 minus 3G equals 2G. Add the 3G. Gives you 210 equals 5G. So 210 divided by 5 equals 42. So G is 42. And if G is 42, then we just have to subtract that from 70. So the lesser is 28. So that one wasn't a concept review problem, just a normal substitution elimination word problem. Now looking at number 6, if x is an even number, what is the quotient of the next greater even number divided by the next greater odd number? Okay, so this one's another concept review. if you are at an even number, so let's say you have 2, what do you need to add to 2 to get to the next even number? What are you adding to 2 to get to the next even number? And that would be 2. So if x is the even number, what do I add to it to get to the next even number? You're going to add 2. And then you're going to divide it by the next greater odd number. So what do I add to this 2 to get to 3? You would just have to add 1. So it's the next greater even number divided by the next greater odd number. And that is it for number 6. Okay, now this is going to be where our new material comes in. So a 6-sided polygon is inscribed in a circle whose radius is 6 inches. Find the area of the polygon. So I'm going to attempt to draw this for you. So it would be this. And this is inscribed in a circle whose radius is 6 inches. So just like I said before, you're going to divide this to become 6 equal triangles. But really what you're looking for is one of the right triangles. So I'm going to just draw a right triangle. So that's going to be my height. This is my slant, which is 6. And I need to find this angle here. So this is going to be the height, and this is the base. So I am going to find the angle by doing 360 divided by how many right triangles there are. I said anytime you have the number of sides, you just multiply that by 2. So it's going to be 360 divided by 12, which gives us 30 degrees. So now what you're going to do is we are going to find the height and the base, because that's how we're going to find the area. So I'm going to start with using cosine of 30 equals adjacent, which is h, over hypotenuse, which is 6. That will give me the height of, so 6 times 30 cosine equals, I'm going to do to 3 decimal places, so 5.196. Then I'm going to do sine, so this would be sine of 30 equals opposite over hypotenuse, so that would be b over 6. And that gives me a base of 6 times 30 sine equals 3. So now to find the area. Now, we're finding the area of the entire polygon. So I divided this into right triangles, which means that I have 12 right triangles. And to find the area of one of them is 1/2 base times height. My base is going to be 3, and my height is going to be 5.196. So I'm just going to multiply this through. So it's going to be 12 times 3 times 5.196 divided by 2. That gives me 93.53. And that would be number 7. Now looking at number 8, so this is going to be where it starts to become a little tricky because of the sides. So the length of the side of an 8-sided regular polygon is 10 centimeters. Find the area of the polygon. So this one I'm not going to draw the whole thing because 8-sided is quite a bit. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the right triangle because that's all we really need. And I know that I'm going to end up with 16 of these because it's an 8-sided regular polygon. And it says the length of the side is 10. So if in the isosceles triangle, the length of the side is 10, that means that this side is actually 5. So again, what I said is this is the length of the whole side, but because they're splitting it into 2 right triangles, the base is 5. Now I'm going to find the angle again. So that's going to be 360 divided by the number of right triangles, which is 16. So 360 divided by 16 gives me 22.5 is going to be my angle, is my degree. We're trying to find the area, so I only need to know the base and the height. So I am actually, for this one, going to use tangent, because if you notice, this is opposite, this is adjacent. I only need to know those. So tangent of 22.5 is equal to opposite over adjacent. So then after some manipulation, you would have to essentially flip these two. So the height is going to be equal to 5 divided by tangent of 22.5. So my height is going to be equal to, so 5 divided by 22.5 tangent equals, and I get 12.071 as my height. Now, when you find the area, again, we're looking at the right triangles. So I'm not going to have 8 right triangles. I'm going to have 16 right triangles. And it's 1/2 base times height. My base is 5, and my height is going to be 12.071. Use your calculator. So 16 times 5 times 12.071, and then we're going to divide that all by 2, and that gives me my area of 482.84 centimeters squared. And that's your look at number 8. Number 9 is actually not a new problem, but it says 2 12-sided polygons are similar. Side of the larger is 9 times as long as the corresponding side of the smaller. What is the ratio of the area of the smaller to the area of the larger? So the area of the smaller to area of the larger is equal to the side ratio squared. So the side ratio is actually 1 to 9, because it says 9 times as long as the smaller, so it would be 1 to 9. And then you just square that, so your area ratio is 1 to 81. And that's actually from a way previous lesson, so if you did forget that one, I understand. Now moving on to number 10. So solve for the unknown parts of the triangle. So what I need to do is I am actually going to set up my laws of sines is how we're going to solve for it. But I'm going to solve for A first. So A is 180 minus 130 minus 30, which means that A is going to be equal to 20. Now to set up your ratios, it's the side opposite the angle is what constitutes the pair. So that would be side A over the sine of 20, my bad, equals 15 over the sine of 130 equals B over the sine of 30. So I'm going to start with solving for A. So you're going to set these two equal to each other and cross multiply them. So that would be A times sine of 130 equals 15 times sine of 20. You're going to divide both sides by sine of 130. So you're going to end up with 15 times 20 sine equals divided by 130 sine equals. So you should get, that's going to round to 6.7. A is equal to 6.7. Now to solve for b, we're going to do the same thing, but you're going to use these two. You're going to cross multiply, so that would be b times sine of 130 equals 15 times sine of 30. Divide both sides by sine of 130. So that would be 15 times 30 sine equals, divided by 130 sine equals, and I get 9.79. So B is equal to 9.79. Okay, so that was going over the law of sines that we learned in our last lesson, lesson 72, I think it was. Okay, so now we're going to look at number 11. So the first thing that we're going to do on this one is we have to put this into standard form, which actually looks like double intercept form, meaning that the right side needs to be equal to 1. So you're going to divide everything by 36. So I have 4x squared divided by 36 plus 9y squared divided by 36 equals 36 divided by 36. And that would give me the equation x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4 is equal to 1. Now to solve for the distance away from the origin on the x-axis, you just take the square root of the denominator, and the same thing for the y-axis. So I'm going to draw my diagram. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So square root of 9 is 3, so you go 3 in either direction. Square root of 4 is 2. And then you just need to connect those dots. So it should look like that. That's all you have to do for number 9. So take this, or 11, you have to take the square root of the denominators. Now for number 12, we have a manufacturer produces bolts whose lengths are normally distributed with a mean of 4, a standard deviation of 0.1. What percentage of the bolts have lengths between 3.94 and 4.14? So for this one, I'm going to actually draw a table for you. So for number 12, I have a normal distribution that looks something like this, where the mean is going to be 4.0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the percentage that falls below 3.94. And then I'm going to find the percentage that falls below 4.14. And then I will find the difference between the two. So I have to calculate the z-score for both of them, which would be x minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So our x is going to be 3.94 minus 4 divided by 0.1. For the other one, it's going to be 4.14 minus 4 divided by 0.1. So let's do the first one first. I do 3.94 minus 4 divided by 0.1, which would give you negative 0.6. This one, 4.14 minus 4 divided by 0.1 would give you positive 1.4. So now what you need to do is we need to go to our standard normal table in the back of our answer key. So for the first one, it's negative 0.6. So I'm going to go to my chart. I go down to negative 0 over to 0.6, and that gives me 27.43%. So that is going to be the percentage that falls below here, is going to be 27.43%. Now for the next one, I'm looking for positive 1.4. So I'm going to go down to positive 1 over to 0.4, and I get 91.92%. 91.92%. That's going to be the percentage that falls below here, is 91.92%. And we want to find this percentage in here which means you just need to find the difference between the two. So I'm going to do 91.92 minus 27.43 equals, so 91.92 minus 27.43, that will give you 64.49%. And that would be your result for number 12. So you have to use your standard normal table on that one for number 12. Okay, now to number 13. Remember, solving for a matrix, you're going to start in the top left and multiply by the bottom right, then multiply top right times bottom left. So it'd be B, number 13, would be B times B plus 2 minus 1 times negative 12 equals 12. So if I multiply that out, I'm going to get B squared plus 2B plus 12 equals 12. So you should see that the 12s on both sides are actually going to cancel. And that means that you're going to end up with, if I factor out a B, I'm going to have B times B plus 2 equals 0. So to solve, you just set each of them equal to 0. So B is going to be equal to 0 and negative 2. And that is all you have to do for number 13. Okay, now we're going to move on to number 14 and 15. So these are going to be one of those problems that are probably taking you a little bit more time than you would like. But I'm going to start with just diagramming and then explaining how I solve this problem. So number 14, I have my vertex is at 3, negative 2. So I'm just going to draw. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how far down. Yikes. Okay, so 3, negative 2 is going to be my vertex. My focus is going to be at 3, 5. So that's all the way up here. My vertex or my parabola always opens up towards my focus, so it should look like that. I can already put in my axis of symmetry because it's where these two lines line up, or where those 2 points line up on the x-axis. So that means my axis of symmetry is going to be at x is equal to 3. Then I want to go ahead and put in my directrix, which is going to be a horizontal line that's going to cross the y-axis, equal distances away from the vertex to the focus as vertex to the directrix. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to count 7 down, which I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's here. So that right there is my directrix. It's a horizontal line, crosses the y-axis at y is equal to negative 9. These are all part of your answer. Then I'm going to do my parabola, which is y is equal to 1 over 4p times x minus h squared plus k. Now this h and k is just going to be the my vertex points. So I'm going to start with y equals 1 over something, and then it's going to be x minus 3 squared plus negative 2. So 3, negative 2 is just my vertex. Now I have to look at the focus so I can solve for p. So 3, 5, my focus is h, k plus p. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set k plus p equal to 5. I already know that k is equal to negative 2. So I have negative 2 plus p equals 5. So there p is equal to 7. So really, that's just the distance between your vertex and your focus. That's the number of spaces. So I'm going to do 4 times 7. And now I get y is equal to 1 over 28. X minus 3 squared minus 2. And that is it for this problem. You have your equation of the parabola, your axis of symmetry, and your directrix. And lastly, we're going to look at number 15. So number 15, it says find the coordinates of the vertex and the focus, and the equation for the directrix and the axis of symmetry for the parabola y equals 1 over 9x squared, graph the parabola. So for number 15, I know the equation of the parabola looks like this: 1 over 4p x minus h squared plus k. Now h and k are just going to be my vertex, vertex. P is going to be the distance between the vertex and the focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare it. I have y equals 1 over 9 x minus 0 squared plus 0, essentially. So my vertex is going to be at 0, 0. Now I'm going to find out what p is equal to. So I'm going to essentially set 4p equal to 9. So that means p is going to be equal to 9 over 4, which means the distance between the vertex and the focus is 9 over 4. So, and it's positive. So our focus is going to be at 0, 9 over 4. So again, p is just the distance between the vertex and the focus. If it's positive, it goes up. If it's negative, it goes down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the directrix, which will end up being y is equal to negative 9 over 4. Because if the focus is 9 over 4 up, that means the directrix is 9 over 4 down from the vertex. So that's our directrix. Axis of symmetry. Oops, I never write that out. Is going to be where the vertex and the focus line up, which would be at x is equal to 0. So basically, that's all of our information. Now we just have to graph it. So I'm just going to graph a parabola. 1, 2, 1, 2. So 0, 0 is my vertex. 9 over 4 would be 2 1/4. So about here would be my focus. My parabola is going to look like that, something like that. My directrix would be at negative 9 over 4, so it would be about maybe here. So your directrix and your axis of symmetry would just be this. And that would conclude number 15. Okay, I hope that got you started on your lesson. I hope that was helpful to you as well, because there was a lot of concept review problems, and you just need to finish the rest of those 25 problems to get a stamp on lesson 73. Hope you guys all have a great day. Bye.